Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists, episode 635. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. And it's good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you too, Kyle.
Great to be seen.
Oh, good. Yes. Yes. Haven't seen Zach in such a long time. His face is still there. It's wonderful. So this weekend, I was talking with one of my friends from jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And he is from Worcester in Massachusetts.
All right.
And he was in high school when they were filming the movie School Ties in the area. The Brendan Fraser movie. You guys familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was an open casting call for like local kids because they wanted to do like, you know, a couple scenes with just kids hanging out with the main cast.
Mm-hmm.
So my friend who was in high school at the time in Worcester, he applied, he showed up, like did the casting call, went into a room and he read with an actor. And that actor turned out to be Matt Damon.
Wow.
So he met Matt Damon back in like 1991.
Sure.
I thought it was pretty cool.
A what's the name of that movie?
Pre Goodwill Hunting.
Pre Goodwill Hunting.
Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Pre all of that.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then he offhandedly mentioned that he and Chris O'Donnell were good friends in high school also. I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay. Yeah. He was like, yeah, there was a fire drill during gym one time and he needed socks. So he put my socks on and never got given back to me. So he was like, if I ever see Chris O'Donnell again, I'm like, man, where are my socks?
So Chris O'Donnell stole his socks.
Chris O'Donnell stole his socks. Yep.
I love
and he said
like
Matt
that.
Damon was a nice person.
Great.
So, yeah.
And Matt Damon did not steal his socks.
Matt Damon did not steal his socks. Unfortunately, he did not get cast in the movie, so Matt Damon was not impressed with his acting either.
Matt Damon was in charge of casting?
No, I don't think Matt Damon was in charge of casting, but
okay.
I'm not sure who was the casting director of School Ties. Anyone who can just pull it off the top of their head, that'd be great to let me know.
How many people in the world can pull that off the top of their head?
The casting director of School Ties.
Are there 10 people that know that off the top of their head?
Oh yeah, I'm sure like all the people who got cast in School Ties, they probably remember that person. A lot of the top line crew probably remember, and then there's probably just people who know weird things like casting directors. So I would say maybe 1,000.
That's amazing. I think you're right, actually.
Yeah.
Do you think you've ever met someone
who's a casting director or just
no, who knew the casting director of School Ties?
Yeah, I did, because I'm pretty sure this guy.
He doesn't remember their name.
Oh, tries to remember their name, but I'm sure he met the casting director.
Yeah.
What would I don't know enough about this. Would the casting director be in the room for when they're casting like background people with speaking parts, or does that go down to like assistants? Like
at a certain level, they would be in the room. Like if Matt Damon's in the room, it's probably further along in the process.
But this is 1991 Matt Damon, not.
Well, yeah. But he wasn't just random 1 out of 10,000. He was probably getting passed around by that point.
Right. Yeah. I think Matt Damon had been cast in the movie already. So
yeah.
Have either of you guys known somebody who went on to some kind of fame?
Ooh.
I've known people that were previously famous.
Doesn't count.
People who have gone on to greater fame.
Right.
I'm trying to think from high school, Zach. Anyone we went to high school with who is?
I know people that are TikTok famous.
Oh,
they were students at the school I taught at.
Okay.
What do you mean? So they were famous amongst the people that went to the school, not necessarily outside of the school?
No. They went to the school I taught at, and then later they have like millions of followers on TikTok.
Oh, wow. That's fun.
Is that famous? Like, because if I'm not that I'm the barometer for what fame is, but
sure,
you know, like if it's what percentage of America needs to know who you are to be considered famous? Like you could be famous on TikTok, but famous on TikTok is different than famous.
I think if more than 100 people know who you are, but have never met you in real life.
Well,
you know what I mean? Know you by name or visual, You're famous.
I mean, we have over 100 listeners.
That is way too low of a threshold,
think
James.
so.
I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think people could recognize us. I don't think 100 people could recognize us by sight.
But that doesn't. I mean, Bob and Tom, the radio hosts, are famous. I don't know what they look like, but I know their voices. I know the name.
Sure.
I'm not saying that we're famous like Bob and Tom. I'm just saying, like, I think voice personalities.
No, and I don't think
can't be
somebody
famous.
who's known by 100 people is the height of fame either. But
I guess by that definition, more
Sure.
than 100 people, I know lots of people have gone on to fame. If we're talking more like millions of people have to know them, like truly famous, those are the only people I can think of. And to Kyle's point, I don't think that they're famous across the board. I just think if one demographic, be that age or ethnicity, if one demographic, a lot of people in that demographic know who they are, they're still famous. It's just like within that demo.
right. But how small does it get before they're not famous?
I still think it has to be in the millions.
In the millions. Okay.
Seven figures, 7 digits.
Sure. So TikTok, you know more than one TikTok person with over 1 million followers?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. Kyle, do you know anybody? No ninjutsu people?
Jujitsu.
Jujitsu.
I mean, yeah, like I've trained with people who are famous in the jujitsu community, and I've trained with people who were not famous at the time when I trained with them, and then they later became more famous.
Did you train with anybody that went on to fight for money?
Yeah, this guy's name is Muhammad Ali, different than the boxer.
Okay, I couldn't tell if you were making a joke or not.
No,
Okay.
his name is actually Muhammad Ali, and
Right.
I don't know. This was 6-7 years ago. He was kind of like a talented jujitsu practitioner, but was getting into the professional side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And he, he came to Madison and he knew some people and like he worked with us, so we had to train with him. It was really cool. And now in the jujitsu world, Muhammad Ali is a rather big name. It's kind of cool. Like, yeah, I trained with that guy when he was, 50 pounds lighter. He was just sort of like coming up because most of those guys get like really big and buff once they go professional. So
Sure.
that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Do either of you know a billionaire?
Like, if I met a billionaire,
Yeah.
I don't think
I don't think
I
have.
run in that circle. I did. My dad used to work with and was kind of friends with the Kellys, and they started like Rhythm and Booms. Remember that, Zach? The fireworks show.
Yeah.
And we used to go to their house in the Highlands, and that was a legit mansion. Like, it had a tennis court and a pool, and like just tons of rooms in their house and a huge driveway. On like a compound property. I don't think they're.
if they had a
billionaires,
pool,
though.
You could
That's
have
at
like
least a-
you could have
at
like
least a B.
$50 million and have like a pretty ginormous house. And
It was. I mean, yeah. This was a large house with a good sized pool and all that. But I don't think they were billionaires.
yeah, billionaire is like a whole nother level.
Yeah, they were that kind of money. But I'm sure they were millionaires based on
Billionaire
their
is
house.
like they have 5 of those houses.
Yeah. I don't know, Zach. You Google every billionaire in the world, and do I know them?
no, I was trying to get a sense of how many actors alive today are billionaires.
I don't
'Cause
think that
it's
many.
low.
Yeah, I don't actors. I don't
Is
know.
George Clooney a billionaire?
No.
No, I don't think so. But no.
Is he
His
who
whiskey or whatever.
who do you think is the richest actor? It could be Ryan Reynolds because he's very diverse in his portfolio.
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry, yeah, that's a good. Okay, is Steven Spielberg a billionaire?
Yeah.
Okay, so like
I would say so,
producers,
but from
producers are
producing.
probably.
Yeah.
But like then you get George Clooney. He's like an actor producer, like all the
Right,
rich,
but he didn't do Jaws and all the Indiana Jones movies and like
Yeah, that's a good
movies that
point.
made insane box office. Like George Clooney, I like him, but he's not making those movies.
What
And
about
he's not
Brad Pitt?
making 30 of them. No,
I don't think anyone's a billionaire off
he's
of
been
acting
divorced.
alone.
Oh, okay, so all that money has gone other places.
Just not all of it, but enough to make him not the richest. I'd
Oh,
imagine.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Plus, he has like 9 kids.
Oh, what about Seinfeld? Jerry Seinfeld, is he a billionaire?
I would think so.
I was thinking
although
like movie actors.
this website says that he's worth $950 million.
Yeah, well,
Almost
Unfrosted
there.
really hit them in
Jerry
the pocket.
Seinfeld's a movie actor.
I mean, sure, he acted in movies after he was a TV star, but not many.
George Clooney acted in movies after he was a TV star.
Sure, but nobody would argue
Tom
whether
Hanks.
Seinfeld is a TV star or a movie star.
I see what you're saying. Yes, I hear what you're saying. Okay,
I'm not saying he's a movie star, but he is a movie actor.
He's a movie actor. Yeah, I mean, if we're saying actors, I think maybe Jerry Seinfeld might be the richest living actor.
He might be the
I
richest
bet
actor that
Larry
only
David
plays
is
himself.
Richer than him.
Okay, I know Larry David is an actor in his own show, but was he more of a creative first before he was an actor?
What?
Oh, you mean what comes first, actor, creative?
Or because obviously he was a writer, producer, all that first. Then he became an actor with Curb.
Gotcha. Okay.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Great question. Great question.
This is great content too. This is gonna blow up our YouTube shorts.
I can't wait.
How rich is Jerry Seinfeld?
And is he a movie actor or a TV
Is he
actor?
a movie star? Well, he's a movie actor. If you've acted in a movie, that makes you a movie actor. Is he a movie star? I would say
Sure.
he's not a movie star.
I mean, he's
What
only
makes
been
you a
in
movie star?
2 movies, right? And neither of them was his face in either of them.
Was he in the Pop-Tart movie?
Unfrosted, yeah, he's in that one.
He's in, like, he physically is in it.
I'm pretty sure he's physically in that movie.
I haven't
I've never seen
it,
it, but
yeah, I don't,
yeah.
It's,
He's
is
a
that
working
animated?
movie actor. No.
Oh,
no.
I thought it was.
I mean, there's B movie, which obviously his face is not in. What
Yeah,
else?
he plays Ravioli.
Ravioli and Unfrosted.
Yeah.
That's super helpful. So
Doesn't it?
I still think this is an animated movie now.
Doesn't it feel weird that like those are the 2 movies he's been in since he stopped having a hit TV show? They feel very, I don't know, like just not what you'd expect Jerry Seinfeld to be making.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He made so much money on Seinfeld. Like at that point,
I'm not saying he can't make whatever he wants to make.
Right.
I'm just saying there's nothing about watching Seinfeld for 8 seasons, however much it is, if you watch every episode, that says that guy goes on to make B movie and Unfrosted.
20 years apart too.
Right. Whereas like a show like the one on HBO with the creator of Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, that feels like a show from the creative minds of people who made Seinfeld.
Right.
I agree with James. However, I want to bring 2 things to his attention.
Okay.
One, he also was in the documentary Comedian, which is very much what you would expect him to do.
I don't think I've seen that.
You haven't seen Comedian?
I don't know.
If you
I've seen
haven't,
a
you
lot
should
of
check it out.
movies, dude.
No, it's a
I don't remember
documentary. It's a documentary about him retiring. It's about stand-up comedy.
2002?
And him,
Okay.
retiring his set. You should watch it.
According to Letterboxd, I've seen it 2.5, which it's got to be pretty bad for me to give a documentary something that low. Go ahead.
And then the second point I would make is if there's any comedian that I would think about besides maybe Brian Regan talking about Pop-Tarts, it would be Jerry Seinfeld.
Well, what about Jim Gaffigan? And I know
And
he
Jim
does
Gaffigan.
Hot Pockets, but
Yeah.
Really?
I
He
agree.
did a riff on Pop-Tarts? I don't remember that.
no, Jim Gaffigan did Hot Pockets, but I think he could do a thing on Pop-Tarts.
I agree.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying Jerry Seinfeld had a bit on Pop-Tarts.
Oh, did he? Is that why he made Unfrosted? Because he had a bit on this whole
That's
thing?
what I'm asking Zach. Why would it be him?
I'm saying it would fit in with his style of comedy to talk about Pop-Tarts.
And what about bees?
I don't know why he made the B movie.
Right.
Can both of you guys give me your best what's the deal with Jerry Seinfeld impression, and you can insert any noun you want into the what's the deal with.
I really wish I could, Kyle.
Yeah, I
really
wish I could too, but I
Oh no, but you don't
I
know
don't
until
know.
you try.
I don't know what's the deal with Zach. Why he won't do it, but he won't.
Yeah, that's
I
a
know.
wow, spot on. Is Jerry, are you here?
That's my impression. What's the
All right,
deal
is
with
anyone
Zach?
curious about talking about the movie today.
Why not?
If you guys wanted, I could talk about the movie.
Was that your segue?
It was my segue. I couldn't quite figure out how to end the sentence in it, so I started it. Yeah, we're going to talk about If, which is the title of a movie that's in theaters now. And then we're going to run down an associated list with the movie If. Before we jump into all that, though, we got to remind you there's a video version of this podcast.
That is the Cinereelists right there. We're going to discuss a movie and then an associated list.
All right. You got it. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/Cinereelists. Find us on Patreon. Get extra after show audio if you support the podcast. Patreon.com/Cinereelists. Leave us an Apple podcast review. We'd appreciate that if you listen on an Apple device, or send us an email to heyguys@cinereelists.com. Send a comment, a question, a list suggestion, a movie suggestion, any of those kinds of things, and we will read and discuss it on an upcoming episode. You guys ready to jump into If?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk about it right after this clip.
What if I told you imaginary friends are real?
Hi. Oh, God.
And when their kids grow up, they need to find new ones.
I can find anyone. Anywhere.
He got in my mouth.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
Wow, my eyes can taste it.
I'm so sorry.
You don't taste that in your eyeballs?
If.
I'm not gonna ask you again. Put some pants on. You're freaking everyone out.
Only in theaters May 17th. This film is not yet rated.
That was If, a 2024 American live-action animated fantasy comedy. Written, produced, and directed by John Krasinski. He also has a role in the movie. This movie stars Kaylee Fleming, Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski, Fiona Shaw, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Louis Gossett Jr., and Steve Carell, amongst others. And the official IMDb plot synopsis for If is: a young girl who goes through a difficult experience begins to see everyone's imaginary friends who have been left behind as their real life friends have grown up. What did you guys think of If? I don't like the title.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys could tell, but I really don't like the title.
I don't like the term, like
Right.
that these imaginary friends call themselves ifs.
Ifs, yeah.
I don't like introducing a new term like that. Just they can be imaginary friends.
I will say I did not know that this was an acronym going in, and I was watching the movie, and I was like, that's short for imaginary friend. And I patted myself on the back. And then later they explained it. I'm like, oh, I bet you this is probably the trailer. I felt very clever in the moment that I figured out the title.
I mean, I don't know if they spell it out in the trailer, but they do say the words imaginary friend and assume that you're going to understand that's the title.
I know. I thought they referred to themselves as ifs at one point.
Right, but they don't spell out imaginary friend means if.
No, but it's, again, I'm the smart boy here.
In the movie, they spell it out for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What do we think of If? I thought this was a inoffensive and half-baked attempt at making a live-action Pixar movie.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
Yes.
Like a Pixar live-action hybrid type thing.
Yeah. This kind of felt like a Pixar clone. I won't say the Pixar ripoff, but it was definitely trying to go for that like Pixar feeling of, let's take a concept and like dive into it and maybe give some rules to this concept, and let's focus on in this case it's a teenage or a tween girl, and sort of her experiences. The first 10 minutes, not even the first 5 minutes of this movie, are very Pixar-y. I think we can agree on, and sort of how it tells the first 5 minutes of the story and what this girl is experiencing.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. I had issues with this movie with this movie, and for one thing, I couldn't quite figure what it was about, because on one hand, it's about this girl who sees imaginary friends and she wants to help pair them with like their former kids.
She's kind of a matchmaker.
Exactly. So like, oh, okay. So she's like trying to like help people refine their when they were kids, like rediscover being a kid.
Right.
And then they kind of move on from that, and now it's more about her dealing with the sort of a trauma from her past, as well as an upcoming possible trauma that's going to happen to her. And that was a weird shift for me. I didn't understand the rules of this movie. Like, were these imaginary friends or were these invisible friends? Because that's two different things, right? Because like
go on.
Oh yeah. So like an invisible friend is like Pete's Dragon, right? So I was wondering, were there gonna be moments like a Pete's Dragon where the real world's gonna see something kind of weird happening, but they can't explain it because there's something invisible there, but she can see it, and they kind of did that once or twice in the movie,
where the imaginary friends could actually affect the environment,
right? Or like she was interacting with an imaginary friend. And then someone else is like, "What are you doing?"
See. Like the one shot towards the end in the hallway, maybe,
exactly,
in front of the. Sure, I can see what you're saying.
You know, and then you have the imaginary friend that people trip over. So like that's a physical being, right? If you can trip over something, then it has matter and it takes up space. So that's not imaginary, that's invisible. So like imaginary and invisible are two different things.
Right, but up until that hallway moment, the tripping and stuff like that, all that could be explained.
Right, but at the end of the movie, a character in the real world trips at the very end of the movie. Right,
but that could be explained too.
I think very, very clearly they are imaginary friends. And I know that because the movie is called If.
What that stands for invisible friends.
It doesn't. They talk about it specifically in the movie that they're imaginary friends. You know, imaginary friends, we prefer the term If.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The one time that we see a real person notice another real person being affected by them, right, is that where she's waiting for the elevator scene. But that is a person that is already imaginary friendly. You know, they have an imaginary friend. They're, you know, I think it's just kind of bleed over from her own imaginary friend.
What about the boy in the hospital? Doesn't he at one point say, "Who are you talking to?"
Yeah, because he sees her talking.
Right. So there's that, and there's also like the hallway scene at the end where she seems to be moving a little bit.
She is talking to her imaginary friend.
Right.
That's who she's talking to.
See, this movie should not need this much explanation. Like
it really doesn't.
It's in the title.
It should be simpler than this. So I guess I didn't quite get what this movie was exactly supposed to be about, because it kind of was going between this fun matchmaker movie and then also this more Pixar-y, like I'm trying to deal with, you know, like a kid going through trauma, but let's like handle it in a kid way. I didn't know what was wrong with John Krasinski at first. I thought maybe he was mentally ill the first time we met him, because like remember he brings in the IV bag with the face on it, and he's like talking to it, and like based on the trauma that was experienced earlier, I'm like, oh, maybe like this broke him, and like he's in a mental hospital, and she's going to go visit her dad, who's crazy because, you know, like he can't handle his own experience,
and now he's dancing with a mop.
Right, he's dancing and talking to a mop, and there's a face on it like Wilson. I'm like, oh, okay, he is sick. Like, you know. And it turns out he just is a guy who jokes a lot. Like he just, you know, can't stop with the jokes.
Sure.
So that was at first I was trying to figure out what is John Krasinski exactly in this movie.
That's amazing.
There's an emotional moment at the end with the girl, which I think she does a nice job. Like she's doing a good job of acting this moment. But the movie felt like it didn't want to go too hard, so the moment felt unearned.
Can you dance around what moment you're talking about?
It's let's just say it's the post-surgery moment.
Okay.
And everyone's rushing to the hospital.
Okay.
But it didn't seem like actually there was a need to be rushing. Like everyone rushed to the hospital, and this big emotional moment happens. And then
there's no explanation of why everybody had to rush.
Right. You're like, oh, this doesn't seem like that big of an emergency. Again, the child actor did a great job with it. She sold it. I just thought the whole moment felt like they could have leaned in harder to this. Again, and that I think that was my problem with the movie, is it didn't quite know, like, are we going for just like a kid's movie? Are we trying to appeal to like the whole family? I would call this a family movie, but it definitely felt more on the kid side of things than being like a family movie, which a Pixar movie can give you both. You can watch Up, right? And Up has emotional stakes, but is also a fun movie with like, giant birds running around in the forest.
Yeah, I mean, those are the parts of Up I hate. So I wouldn't use Up as an example. Maybe Wall-E.
Okay.
Maybe Wall-E.
Maybe Wall-E's better. I know Up's a bad example for you. Or or Inside Out, right? Inside Out's a movie where it balances both, where you get these moments and you also get like Bing Bong Imaginary Friend, who also has emotional moments too. Like that's a kid's movie where they kill an imaginary friend.
That's probably one of the best movies that do that.
Yeah.
That cover like an incredibly high concept in a way where kids and adults can process it and not feel, like it's above one or below the other. I agree. I agree that this movie didn't understand which one it was aiming for. Do you want me to keep going?
I got more, but I would love to let one of you guys. Yeah, go ahead, James.
Sure.
You seem to be on the same page as me, so please proceed.
I didn't dislike this movie, but I also just think there's nothing there. In the end, it felt so formulated to be as schmaltzy as it is without any real like tooth or it felt. I understand it's a kids movie, and so for that reason I cut it a break, because I think it's pretty clear. If I was to diagnose John Krasinski here for a minute, he made 2 horror movies and then wanted to make a movie his kids could watch. That's what this felt like. Him making a movie that kind of has a twist in it that anybody could watch, and kind of prove that he could make that movie. And in the most formulaic way possible, I kind of feel like he got what he was aiming for. He made a very formulaic version of this type of family movie, which is fine, but it's nothing that I can, champion in a big way, because I don't really care about that. What'd you think, Zach?
I have lots of thoughts about specific things in this movie. On the whole, I think I enjoyed the movie for what it was. Like, it was like Kyle said, inoffensive. I would say somewhat charming film with a really great performance at the heart of it. I thought the main actress was just so great.
She was good. Yes.
I don't know her from other things. I understand she's in The Walking Dead and stuff like that. But I think she has a good future in front of her. I love her. Like, my wife and I both said this, like, she just has such a great smile. Like, anytime she smiles, it's very great. And I agree with Kyle in a different way. I don't understand the rules of this film. For instance, later on in the film, she at first she's going to matchmake these imaginary friends with new kids, right? Then she gets this idea in her head, like, oh, what if they could reunite with their past kids, right? And I don't understand what happens then, right? They glow orange, and then what? What happens after that?
Right, because we never see like the adult turn around and say, "It's you."
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we do.
We did?
Yeah.
Towards when?
Which one?
The nurse went outside and hugged her imaginary friend.
Okay, you're right. The nurse did. But other people just felt like calm or complete or...
Yeah, but I know what I don't understand is what happens to the imaginary friend.
Yeah,
like, are they now connected, or is that just a once experience?
Right.
I didn't really know.
I think
it's maybe it's the presence of love versus the absence of love, Zach. It's the really dichotomy.
I'm very concerned by the grandmother's lack of like attention to her granddaughter. Just the negligence of this daughter trompsing around town, and grandma never knows where she is.
Okay, I have a question about the grandmother. So they're staying in the grandmother's like brownstone in New York City because it's close to a hospital. And it's because her father needs some sort of surgery procedure. He's not mentally ill. He just needs a procedure done.
A heart surgery.
Yeah, though he said he has a broken heart, which again kind of confirms my mentally ill part of
Kyle,
things.
yeah, Kyle had a hard time distinguishing nice guy from mentally ill.
Yeah. Anyone who's that nice, you got a question. And then we also kind of learned that she had previously been in that brownstone during another traumatic experience, also involving a hospital. Has the grandma not seen her in like 6 years? Because like she gets back to the house and the grandma's like, "Oh, I saved all your stuff from last time," and the kid's like, "Grandma, I'm not a kid anymore." And she's like, "Oh, you're right. Like, have they like? Sorry, I can only see you when bad stuff's going down at the hospital. Other than that, don't come visit me." Like,
Yes.
but like it seems like it was her. It seems like it was her first time back in that house since the last time she was there 6 years ago or whatever it was.
I think that is the case.
Yeah.
So like, what kind of like you don't see your grandchild for 6 years?
No, the grandma goes to them. They live in Nevada in a very exclusive cult, and they're only allowed to have visitors. They're not allowed to leave unless for medical reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes. And so she needs the imaginary friends because there's no one to play with around there.
Yeah.
The movie didn't say this, but I can imagine like something traumatic happened near her grandma's house. And so even if it's been 6 years, it's probably because I don't want to go back to that memory.
Okay.
Yes. Now, okay. I'll say a couple things about this being like a family movie. Okay. A lot of movies in this genre, and I will point as my example, The Secret Garden, the new one that came out a couple years ago.
Right.
Never seen it.
Okay. Me either. I've just seen the trailer.
Okay.
That movie, I feel like, is an archetype for what a modern family movie does as far as using CG and like the cinematography is like they're very CG heavy with like a lot of like the camera spinning around and like shooting things like all magically and things like appearing and, you know, vines being created. And, you know, like it's an aesthetic that modern CG heavy family films have. It probably started with those new Wizard of Oz movies, like that kind of look, right?
You're right. Yeah.
This movie did not have that, much to my happiness.
It had that.
It had a lot of CG, like CGR Pixar creatures.
Okay.
It literally
for the
had
most part.
a shot where vines are growing up a wall and stuff like that.
Oh, did?
Literally had the shot you're talking about.
What vines?
What about when they were in the Coney Island retirement community?
Yeah, when they're in the retirement community and she's accepting her abilities.
And like
And
Her
he's like,
imaginative.
in that
Right.
case, like the hallways
like-
are growing and getting bigger. Like
Yeah.
that felt like what you're describing that you don't want. That scene felt like that was that.
Right
to me.
before she's making the ceilings go up, there's literally a shot of them in the garden and they're looking inside the retirement home and vines are growing up on the outside of the building. Exactly what Zach just described.
It wasn't so much vines, it was blossoms. Blossoms were blooming.
Sorry.
No, I do think that
Blossoms are fine.
imagination
Vines,
sequence
no
that
way.
imagination sequence did dip into that for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
But in general, it was like just a very like a very staid film
Sure.
with like bright, you know, magic hour lighting all the time and stuff like that.
I very much felt like it wanted to be the Disney remake of Pete's Dragon.
Okay.
Does that have a lot of magic
Had
hour
that-
lighting?
Like indie
Okay.
indie production visual, I would say.
Right. Or Where the Wild Things Are, which was
Sure.
referenced
Yes.
in the film.
Yeah.
They reference a few imaginary friends in the film, like from movies. They had the Jimmy Stewart
Yeah,
movie,
Harvey. I thought that was
yeah.
clever. Yeah. What else besides Harvey?
The one I just said, Where the Wild Things Are.
Did they reference that movie?
Yeah, well, Benjamin, the sick kid,
Okay.
had a Where the Wild Things, like had a little Max figurine on his
Oh, okay.
nightstand.
That's great. Cool. Can we talk about the weird Tina Turner cameo in this movie?
You didn't like that?
It was
So-
a Tina Turner cameo. What made it weird?
I don't know if
Well-
she actually cameoed in it.
No, she's dead. That's what made it weird.
Right. So it's not a
Yeah.
cameo. If she's
So okay,
not
so like
actually-
we see one of this girl's happy memories is like dressing up like Tina Turner and dancing around, which my son kept saying to me, "Hey, that's Bon Jovi hair," and I want to explain to him in the movie theater like, actually that's Tina Turner, but which I guess fine. Like, you know, if your parents were into Tina Turner, like you listen to your parents' music, that's totally fine. And then there's during the dream sequence, where we went with the imagination sequence. like a Tina Turner concert happens, and there is essentially a Tina Turner on stage, but because like she's dead, they just have a person in a big wig with her face covered the whole time. It's kind of like seeing Michael Jordan in the Air movie, where like they keep cutting around like this Tina Turner figure. But then they like have someone watching the concert on TV, and it must be from like a real concert, because then they have Tina Turner's like actual face, and she grabs someone who happens to be Ryan Reynolds' CG'd face. And I was just like, what is going on right now? Like, why are we watching fake Tina Turner dancing and then real Tina Turner dancing with CG Ryan Reynolds on a TV? I was just flabbergasted by the whole sequence.
It sounds like you're advocating for Tina Turner erasure, and I'm not okay with that.
I just don't know why. Like, it's fine for her to like be into Tina Turner. I just don't know why we need to create this imagination sequence. But we can't cast Tina Turner because she's dead. So we're just going to put someone in like, a wig with her face covered and kind of in the background the whole time. But then we're going to take old footage of her and CG Ryan Reynolds into it to like, I don't know. It's just the whole, I just want to know, what was the thought process that brought us to this point in the movie?
Well, she's really into Tina Turner.
Yeah, no, I understand that she was into Tina Turner. Like the decision that was made by whoever's story, but the director, I guess, to be like, all right, here's what we're going to do, guys. You remember when Fred Astaire danced with the vacuum cleaner? Remember Forrest Gump when he talked to Nixon? It's gonna be like that.
Yeah.
I was more upset at the song they picked. Like, of all Tina Turner's songs, that's the one you go with.
I was not offended by the song. What would you have preferred?
I don't know. What's Love got to do with it? Or
that's not like an upbeat bop though. Like, that's a good song, but you're not gonna have like little kid dance around to What's Love got to do with it.
I don't know. Better Be Good to Me. It's a good Tina Turner song.
Is it appropriate for this inoffensive kids film?
You're clearly not a 7-year-old
Simply the
girl,
Best.
James.
Okay, Simply the Best. But that's so obvious though. Yeah, go for a deep cut. Like, she's a true fan.
We don't need another hero.
Double the cost of this film.
You can't hire two Tina. Yeah.
It felt weird to. I'll agree with Kyle. It felt weird to get Tina Turner, who's dead, in this movie, and to try to like cut around the fact that she couldn't possibly be in this movie,
right?
And then not pick a super recognizable song from her catalog. Like, why even use her in the movie?
She's like an Easter egg.
I
thought they sold it.
Easter egg.
I thought they sold it pretty well.
It was fine. I wasn't offended by it, but it was who cared?
Why is Ryan Reynolds so reluctant to be the matchmaker?
Because he's not actually the matchmaker.
Yeah, I think we're getting into spoiler territory here. Which
you
can spoil this movie
spoilers.
Surprisingly. No,
I'm answer that without spoilers.
I don't think he had the possibility to be the matchmaker.
I'm not asking if he could or not. Why did he hate his life and job so much?
Maybe, again, it's without spoiling, maybe because of what he misses what he had, and where others could accept what they no longer have, he could not.
Okay.
That's without spoiling anything.
Okay.
I really want to say something. It's going to spoil this movie, but I thought of it, and I'm like, I think it explains this movie completely.
You can't dance around it.
Well, we can have a spoiler section if you want.
No, I mean, I can have a spoiler sentence.
Okay, this is a spoiler sentence.
Well, let's do it after. Like, let's rate it, and I'll do the spoiler sentence, and then we get to our list.
Okay, don't forget your spoiler sentence.
Oh, I have not. All right, I have a couple other things before we move on. I have a lot of notes on this movie.
All right,
number one. So the Steve Carell character, who I found super annoying, was named Blue.
Yeah, that was a problem for me too. Is they kind of had this central cutesy character that ran through the whole movie, and I was just annoyed by that.
I was annoyed by it
for the most part.
And he's purple, and they later make the joke of like, "Oh, you're purple. Why are you called Blue?" But they didn't make that clarification right away. And my wife and I we can't agree on what the color blue versus purple is. Like, we will look at the same object, and one of us will call it blue, one will call it purple. So anyway, so they call it blue, and I see him as purple. I'm like, oh my god, maybe I am colorblind. And then later, someone clarified. I'm like, okay, I'm glad they see purple also.
Oh, it made you question everything.
It made me question. Like, I almost turned to my son and be like, what color is he? But
that's amazing. I have two things to say about this.
About blue versus purple, or the character?
What you just said, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
First of all, my wife and I argue about if we have a black car or a blue car. She thinks it's blue and I think it's black. Yep. So same thing.
Perfect. Yep.
And then second, my daughter's baby blanket is named Orangey and it's pink.
Is it a salmon though? Like, is it in between?
Yeah, it's very salmon.
Okay,
but it's clearly not orange.
Okay,
but yeah, it's a salmon for sure. She just named it while she was learning colors, but before she had mastered.
Right? Do you think she maybe didn't know the color salmon when she learned it?
For sure. I mean, she named it at 15 months old.
She could say orangey at 15 months old.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
She has always been ridiculously verbal.
And you're correcting her every day now, right? When she goes, give me orangey, be like, it's salmony. Say it again, or you don't get chicken nuggets.
No.
Okay. Well,
good luck with that.
Work on that. Did you guys notice the Brad Pitt credit at the end of the movie?
No.
Oh, so do you remember? Was it Kevin? Who's the invisible one? The invisible imaginary friend.
Kevin.
That kept tripping over. Yeah.
Kevin.
Was that Brad Pitt?
Yeah. So one of the credits was introducing Brad Pitt as Kevin.
That's really funny.
Oh, that's funny. And that's a callback to Deadpool 2, where Brad Pitt's like the invisible superhero also.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then just finally, as much as I've kind of trashed this movie, I did see it with my son. We saw it on late on a Friday night, like a 7:15 show. So to him, it was super special. Like, we were out, it was late, we had to watch a movie together. I had a really good experience watching this movie. Like, I really enjoyed going with him to the theater and staying out late. And he was like, can we do this again sometime? I'm like, sure, with a better movie, definitely.
Did he like it?
Oh, yeah, he liked it. Yeah. Yeah, he liked it. I asked him if he wanted to come give a quick blurb, but we had a pretty big day today, and he's kind of pooped out. So he just said, oh, I'm going to pass for the day.
I mean, clearly this probably wasn't made for a 46-year-old guy to go to alone on a Saturday morning.
I'm really glad I brought my son with me, to be honest, and I wasn't there by myself.
Right, I'm pretty sure that was not the intended audience. I think it was intended for families to probably go to this together and be comfortable watching something that they know is not going to be offensive at all, and maybe get a couple people to sniffle, which in my audience happened. Not with me, but there was definitely sniffling going on in my audience. So I think they've accomplished something to somebody. I'm just not sure they accomplished much with me.
I think this movie could have been something that everyone could enjoy, and not just like, oh, this is a movie I take my kids to. But I think it ended up being a movie I take my kids to.
Yeah. Zach, you watched this alone, right?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't take the family?
Nope.
Did you get anything out of it that you're really going to hold on to in the future? Or is this a movie that you enjoyed that you're probably going to forget about in the next 15 days?
I enjoyed it. It made me... Ryan Reynolds, I just like him. He's just so charismatic. I really liked the main actress. I'll be looking for her in future projects. I thought oddly she looked like the child version of the woman in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That looks like the adult version of her.
I disagree, but okay. I don't.
Nova?
You don't think they look like May or whatever her name was?
Freya Allen or whatever her name is.
I don't know.
I don't think they look the same, but sure.
Okay. But yeah, it's not something I'm going to rewatch over and over again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want a safe bet to take your family, go see If. If you want to be surprised at all about what's happening on the screen, don't go see If. That's my recommendation.
I'm going to stick around for my spoiler sentence, and that's just going to... After you hear the spoiler sentence, you don't even see the movie anymore.
I think from a John Krasinski point of view, so I think A Quiet Place, the original one, is a very competently made movie. I like it. I think it's well made. I think it knew what it was, and it made like a good version of that thing. I think it's doing an impression of other good things at the same time, and that's fine as long as you throw enough originality in there for it to feel fresh. I think the movie did that. A Quiet Place 2, also adequately made, but like just a round 2 at a concept that he kind of already did better. And then he goes and does this, and I'm just getting the feeling that maybe John Krasinski is just a very kind of, if he has a roadmap, that's what he's going to do. And it's not really going to be anything mind blowing or even like specific to him. Like there's nothing, I don't know. I'm not feeling a style. 3 movies in, I'm not feeling a style yet from this guy.
Like he just picks a genre and says, okay, I'm going to make a movie in this genre.
What are the good movies of this genre do? I'm going to try to do all those things. Even if, like, in this case, I think it worked less well than when he did that with a movie like A Quiet Place. But we'll see. He's 3 movies in is not a lot to judge off of. So who knows? Maybe he's got something wild up his sleeve for the next one. Like, I think Spielberg's similar type of guy where people expect something from him and he's like constantly changing his style up.
Yeah.
And he's a very populist director. Most people like his stuff. So I don't think that's the issue. It just needs some more bite to it for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm excited about John Krasinski as a director now. Not quite sure. He had me with The Quiet Place. You know what I mean? Like I was ready to see the next thing he did after that.
And then he lost you.
Yeah. It's just the last 2 have not been. I looked it up the other day for some reason. I was reminded of The Fits from 2015, a movie I really love. That person hasn't directed anything since then. And it's like, why does that person go 9 years without getting another director's gig? And John Krasinski's directing movies like If. I don't know.
Well, I think the
one
reason
has
is
nothing to do with the other. You know what I mean? But like,
I think
in my
the reason
brain
is because
go ahead.
You can name John Krasinski and you can't name the other person who made that one movie.
No, there are very logical reasons why those have nothing to do with each other for sure. But I want to see what the director who made The Fits will do next.
Whatever his or her name might be.
It's a female. It's like 3 words. Let me look it up. Pretty sure it's 3 words. With a dash?
Jean-Baptiste Poquelin.
No. That is not. She's like a white woman from like Nebraska. So there's no way it's that name. All right, I'll look it up. It doesn't matter. My point is Hollywood is a den of nepotism. I don't know what my point is. The director of The Fits is Anna Rose Holmer. I had the 3 name right.
Nice.
Anyway.
All right. Well, keep an eye out.
What are you letterboxing this as?
I'm gonna give this 2.5 stars.
James?
I also gave it 2.5.
3 stars.
All right.
All right.
2 2.5s and a 3 for If. If you want to stick around, we're about to run down our top 10 movies with an acronym in the title.
Let's rank some movies.
Can we
first
Kyle?
give a spoiler sentence and then we can rank some movies?
What's the spoiler sentence? You have to spoil something just because of the acronym?
No, it's a spoiler sentence for If. We talk about this.
Right. Okay. Do
You
you
can't
just
just
get
hold
one
on
or
to
do
it
we
in the
each get a
end?
spoiler sentence?
Okay, I'll hold on to the end. I can
Save
hold on to the
James
end.
some editing.
Yeah.
You're going to do it at the very end?
Sure, I'll do it at the very end.
After the okay, after the credits, we're going to do a spoiler sentence?
Yeah, spoiler sentence and then
Okay.
podcast out.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
All right. So this is not a spoiler alert. There will be nobody has to spoil anything to go down their list, right? No. Okay.
One of my acronyms might be a spoiler if you've never seen the movie, but
all right.
tough for you.
Fair enough. This is our top 10 movies with an acronym in the title. Did you guys have any special criteria for this other than, right there in the title of the list?
No, it had to have an acronym in the title. It did not have to be only an acronym as a title. It could have had full words also.
I didn't include one movie because I didn't think it counted as an acronym, and that was initials for names. So there's a movie called Umberto D, and it's because the character's middle name starts with a D.
Right.
So I didn't include it. Do you guys agree with that, or should I have been able to include that?
I don't think that's an acronym, but what about JFK? Did you include that? Because that is just that's an I mean, those are initials too.
I think that is more of an acronym.
I think it's more of an acronym, but I think you might be right. That it's not technically an acronym. I think it's
an initialism.
Initials.
Yeah.
There's a term called initialism, which is that might be
right.
Well, I'm not changing my list, so
me neither.
Okay, it's
interesting. Interesting. All right, I'll go first.
Okay,
sure.
My number 10. It's either James's number 1 or he forgot about this film. It's The Brat Patrol. This is a movie I saw because of James. It's available on YouTube and only YouTube at VHS quality. And it stars Sean Bean, right?
Yeah.
Who played Samwise Gamgee?
No.
Yeah. From the Goonies. Sam. What's his name?
It's not the guy from Sam. You're right. The guy who plays Sam.
Sean Astin.
Sean Astin.
Like Sean Bean. Does he die in the
Zach
Rat
said
Patrol too?
The word Sean Bean is the only name I could think of after that.
Or then he said Sam. I was like, Sam Astin. No, what is his name?
Yeah. And it's a movie James used to watch as a kid. I watched it because of that. And yeah, I liked it. I could see why someone would attach to it at a young age. It's such a obscure film now that you can only find it on YouTube. But BRAT, B-R-A-T, Patrol. That's my acronym.
Nice.
Well, I will be watching the Rat Patrol this year, as I did pledge to watch all of James's top 100. So if you guys could send me that YouTube link, that'd be super helpful.
Okay.
My number 10 is, what does BRAT stand for?
Zach?
James? I don't know.
Oh, wow. You guys don't even know your acronym.
I know exactly what it stands for.
Well, maybe James will tell us later, or he forgot, so you can tell us now.
I'll tell you later.
Okay. All right. My number 10 is U.S. Marshals. Obviously, U.S. is short for United States. This is the sequel to The Fugitive, starring Tommy Lee Jones and his crew. And then this time we have Wesley Snipes, who is the fugitive on the run. Fun fact, I saw this movie before I saw The Fugitive. So I remember liking this movie and then seeing The Fugitive and being like, oh, they're the same movie. Like it's pretty much the exact same plot between U.S. Marshals and The Fugitive.
Did it spoil The Fugitive for you? Like you didn't like it as much?
No, I liked, I should say the setup's the same. Obviously the details are different. And I do think The Fugitive is the superior movie for many reasons. But setup wise, these are the same. And you've got Tommy Lee Jones is playing the exact same character. I think he even gives the same famous speech of like, we need a perimeter of this far and blah, blah, blah. But
I think he is the same character.
He is. But I'm just saying he's playing exactly the same. It's just, it feels like he just went right from the first movie to the next and just like, I'm just going to roll right off. I understand he should be playing the same, but I don't think
wise that might even be this possible.
I don't think he was trying too hard in U.S. Marshals, is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, that's my number
paycheck.
10.
You're saying it's a paycheck movie.
It's a paycheck movie, correct?
Okay.
And obviously, we know Wesley Snipes is great with money, so he probably needed it too.
Ouch! Wow.
Who knew there was a Wesley Snipes dig in this podcast? Wesley, you're on my list.
Sure. My number 10 is Los Angeles Confidential from 1997, which is a great crime movie starring Russell Crowe and Guy Pearce and Kim Basinger and Danny DeVito and nobody else. Don't look it up. And
definitely not on the poster.
Look, we're not talking about him anymore. No, it's awesome. I mean, this movie was inducted into the Library of Congress. It's so great. The best. I don't really remember what happens in it, but it's awesome.
Nice. Well, my number 9 is one of the more gutless, lack of courage titles when it comes to trust in their acronym, because it's called AI, artificial intelligence. They couldn't bring themselves to leave you guessing. They had to immediately tell you what the acronym means.
Sure.
How common do you think the term AI was in 2001? Obviously, now we all know what it means, but
I mean, it wasn't an everyday parlance,
right? So
but it was well known enough that like anybody who was into sci-fi at all knew what artificial intelligence was before.
Right, but this is a Spielberg movie, so this is not some like niche sci-fi movie. This was like the Spielberg movie that Kubrick wrote. So I think they had to put the title in there, because if not, it's going to turn people off. It's trying to be a broad appeal movie.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Like, Zach, you seem to be slighting the movie for putting artificial intelligence in the title.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense given when it came out and who it was marketed to.
Right, but they could have just named it artificial intelligence. They didn't have to name it AI, artificial intelligence. Right?
Zach?
Correct.
Response?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. They could have called it artificial intelligence. Also, I remember feeling at the time that it had a redundant title.
Yeah. Me too. I've always felt that way.
Is E.T. the Extraterrestrial a redundant title?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hold on to your butts on that one.
Gutless. AI, artificial intelligence, Steven Spielberg film, and it's fine. It's got moments that are better than other moments. I remember not understanding the ending when I watched it, because I thought that the creatures that found him were one thing and not another thing. Because the movie does not make that clear. But yeah, it's an interesting movie.
Is it
Odd
interesting?
Movie.
My number 9 is the previously mentioned L.A. Confidential.
Los
I need to
Angeles
give this.
Confidential.
That was my number 11, by the way.
Oh, so just dropped. Okay. I kind of need to give this movie a second look, because when this came out, I was just getting into like classic noir films like Chinatown and things like that. And I'm, like with this movie, I was like, oh, why is there a shootout? Why have to make it an action movie? Why is it so, like so 90s and blown out of proportion? So I think I was kind of hard on this movie at the time, because I was comparing it really hard to like the classic noir genre. And I kind of want to watch it again to see if like, all right, now that I'm a little more tempered in my opinions, do I enjoy it more, or do I still find it to be a little much? But it's a good movie. A lot of people love it, so maybe I'm wrong.
I need to rewatch it. I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd.
5 stars, James?
And I don't remember it. So
James,
I clearly would get something out of a rewatch one way or the other.
James, you have a movie you don't remember that is worth 5 stars. You have to watch that. You know you're going to love it. That's amazing.
It's been since 2010. That was when I rewatched it, evidently. I'm sure I saw it before that.
I haven't seen it since 1997.
Yeah, that sounds about right for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
James?
My number 9 is Salt Lake City Punk from 1998, which is a fun punk movie. If you liked Train Spotting, you might like this. I don't know. This is like the Mormon version of Train Spotting. And not just because it takes place in Salt Lake City. No, this is what's his name? Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Matthew Lillard.
AKA Matthew Lillard. It also has Christopher McDonald in it and Adam Pascal. Jason Segel's in this movie. And through most of the movie, Matthew Lillard is like talking directly into the camera. Very Train Spotty as well. Like definitely one of those movies. Both about punks, whereas this movie's less about being a druggie and more just about being a punk and the punk ethos, and then like being that in a place like Salt Lake City, where there are just a lot of religious controls going on on society, and like, yeah, like talk about sticking out like a sore thumb in that city. If you were a punker in the 90s, I think you were sticking out pretty much. So anyway, it has a nice speed to it. It's got a great acronym in the title. My number 9, Salt Lake City Punk.
Nice. Well, my number 9 is JFK.
Your number 8?
My number 8 is JFK.
You included it, even though it's not an acronym.
Yeah, I was torn. Torn.
I mean, the man's kind of a brand at this point, right? So it's kind of a...
Yeah, for sure. Directed by Oliver Stone. It's an interesting artifact. Oliver Stone is such a political director, and this is kind of a conspiratorial movie. Do you guys know this about me? I am firmly convinced that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in assassinating JFK. I don't think there's any greater conspiracy than that.
What in 30 seconds? How are you convinced?
That's what I think happened.
Okay, like he wasn't a patsy, or he wasn't recruited by some nefarious organization.
Just a random guy didn't like the president, decided to kill him.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, and all the other random theories and like issues people have with how could one man have done it, or how could he have done it, or those kind of things, just they don't make sense to me. But in general, I don't believe in conspiracy theories. But I thought I should let you guys know that
you don't believe in those.
Believe in a JFK conspiracy theory.
Okay, I don't. I've seen that movie. Never bothered to think my own feelings through on it, whether I believe it or not. How about you, Kyle?
Just didn't come up.
Well, I will say that my number 8 is also JFK.
Okay,
and this is maybe the first Oliver Stone movie I saw. And I was definitely like in middle school or something when I saw it. And I remember watching this, and yeah, like you said, Zach, it posits that like there's this greater conspiracy, and it kind of presents it as fact. And I watched this movie originally as like a documentary. I was like, wow, of course this is a conspiracy. Like they changed the parade routes and all these things. And then later I learned, oh, okay, a bunch of JFK was made up, or, let's take conspiracy theories and, like tied to Martin Luther King and all
presenting them as fact. Basically.
Right, exactly. And it makes a sensational movie, and you learn more about Oliver Stone. You're like, of course, he's a sensational director. But at the time, I was like, yep, magic bullet. It's all there. Oliver Stone blew this thing wide open.
You took the bait.
Yep, for sure. So, but that's why it's better to grow up a little bit than just trust everything you learn as a child. Jane, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Extraterrestrial, the Extraterrestrial from 1982.
That's redundant.
And I should say that these movies are ranked in order of which, like by preference, but also like how acronymy they are.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. Because if I wasn't judging it at all based on that, this would be like way up towards the top.
Right.
But if they just stopped at ET, this would be at the top. But they didn't. They had to explain what the ET was in the title for some reason.
Yeah. It's gutless.
Completely. I don't know. 1982, they didn't have the type of experience that they have today. I don't think Spielberg makes that mistake today. He just call it ET. Movie.
No, he just makes it again 18 years later.
Yeah, everybody knows this movie and loves this movie. My number 8, Extraterrestrial, the Extraterrestrial.
James, I love the bit. I want to do it myself, but I feel like I'm just stealing your bit. So
you could steal my bit.
I love the bit. All right, I'm going to steal the bit.
Okay.
My number 7 is Mobile Army Surgical Hospital.
All right.
Which is a movie I think is really fun. I think this was the first Altman movie I'd seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I like all the just like overlapping dialogue and just how kind of sloppy it is. It's just this whole aesthetic, and it was new and cool, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm much more familiar with the TV show. I used to watch the TV show because it was just on, but I like the movie.
Which came first, the TV show or the movie?
I believe the movie.
The movie.
Okay.
When you were a kid and they were playing the theme song, did you know the lyrics to those were suicide is whatever?
Yeah. Even though it's like it's clearly audible. You can, hear
Or
the lyrics, but I didn't know it was about suicide.
Suicide
is painless. Yeah.
So those are the lyrics that are in the movie. I don't think in the TV show. I think they just play the melody. I don't know if they actually sing the lyrics in the TV show.
Oh, the wah 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 wah.
Yeah, ba da da da
yeah.
da da. Yeah, the theme that's playing during the credits.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the lyrics are pretty dark to that.
I don't think I've seen the movie. Should I?
Yeah.
Oh yes, you for sure should see the movie.
What if I don't really like that director?
Robert Altman.
Then no, you won't like the movie.
I mean, I like Popeye. That's a Robert Altman movie.
It's not like Popeye.
There's a darkness to it, though. I think you would like the dark humor of it.
Okay.
It's not like, I mean, I like Nashville, but I would say Nashville is it's not a dark humor movie.
Oh,
It's
I
just
hated
kind of a dark
Nashville.
movie at times. Okay, it's not like Nashville. It's more dark humor and people, dealing with the life and death situations with humor.
Did he make
It's
the
more
Player?
like Nashville than it is Popeye.
He made The Player, yes.
I like the Player too.
Okay, I haven't seen The Player.
So 50-50.
Player's good.
Yeah.
Player's good.
Maybe
I think
I've
you gotta
seen a couple more.
try MASH. If you like it, maybe you like Robert Altman. If you don't like it, you could maybe say, okay, that's enough Robert Altman for me.
Do you remember the character Klinger in the TV show?
Klinger? I've never seen the TV show.
Was he the
You
one
never watched
that
the TV show?
would cross dress to try to get out?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember him.
He was from Toledo.
Okay. Save that for your Toledo podcast, all right?
Just letting you know.
It's too much
Okay.
Toledo propaganda on this podcast.
That's the first time I mentioned it.
The next
we're an
time,
hour in.
A mass murderer from Toledo comes to mind. I want to make sure you say those two.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna Google all the dark things in Toledo.
Never
Just
happened.
ask
Never
him
happened.
about that.
Right.
We don't speak
Kyle-
of that.
Kyle could say some from Madison, but not from Toledo.
A mass murderer from Madison?
Yeah.
I can't name one. Can you?
Don't protect him.
Him? How do you know it's a him? I can
All
name
right,
murderers
Kyle.
from Wisconsin, but not.
There
from
aren't too
Madison.
many that aren't him. Let's be honest.
That's a good point. That's a good point. My number 7 is the previously mentioned artificial intelligence, or as we should say, artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence. if you
Right.
want
That's
to
actually
be
more
correct. Yes. Yeah. And yeah, this is again another movie I've not seen in like a good 20 years, and I want to give it a second visit. Just to both look at the Spielberg side of things and the Kubrick side of things and kind of how it all meshes together. I remember liking it and having some interesting ideas, but also being a little confused by the ending. The ending, which many people contribute to being the Spielberg ending, but according to Spielberg, the more happy family stuff was from the Kubrick script, and Spielberg added the more darker stuff like the flesh fair and other things. So maybe not what people were expecting, but at least that's what his explanation is.
Nice. Excuse me. My number 7 is The Secret of National Institute of Mental Health from 1982.
Oh,
Which-
that's an acronym?
Yeah, that's an acronym.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I missed. That was on the list we sent out, was it?
I
No,
I
it
did
wasn't.
research beyond the list, I think.
Good.
Here and there.
I have one beyond the list, but that's okay.
Sure.
That's a good pick. I did not know that.
Yeah, I enjoy this cartoon from the 80s. This animated film produced by Don Bluth based on the book by I don't remember.
That book's really good if you want to read a good kid's book.
Yeah. I read it before seeing the movie as a kid, but I haven't read it as an adult. Do you think it would hold up as an adult?
I read it last year.
Okay. Nice.
The movie holds up as an adult.
Yeah, it's a like darker movie, I would say. If you got kids, just kind of know that I don't know. Is it darker than like the darkest of Pixar? Maybe not.
Oh yes, yeah. Like
You
the
think?
owl, like the owl lives in like this cobwebby environment and is kind of scary. They have rats, which are being experimented on and are kind of violent. I would say this is,
You don't think the toys getting melted in Toy Story 3 is like
but they don't get melted.
equal
I-
to
I-
the scariness of the scene in the owl scene and The Secret of National Institute of Health?
No, I think the secret of blah 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 is a darker and scarier movie than Toy Story 3 with about to melt toys.
Probably. That's probably
Yeah.
true. My point is, just know that it's one of those that maybe you read up on before you show it to the kids. It's
Yep.
not like it's not like If. It's gonna be completely inoffensive at any given moment. Not that the secret of National Institute of Mental Health is offensive. Just a darker story. I don't know what I'm trying to say. The point is, it's a classic. I love it. Top 100 movie for me. My number 7.
Nice. All right, my number 6 from 2007. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
My number 6 from 2007 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nice.
Wait, from what year?
2007.
Oh, okay. Because I'm
cartoon.
like, the 91 is just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've not seen the 2007.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the animated one?
The animated one.
Okay.
And I like this one. This is probably my 3rd favorite Ninja Turtles movie.
Third favorite. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Maybe not 3rd, maybe 4th, but somewhere in there.
Sure.
Do you guys put Secret of Ooze above or below this one?
I put it above.
I put it below.
Wait, you put Mutant Mayhem below? Wait, okay. Zach, rank your Ninja Turtles.
Favorite Ninja Turtle movies.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The original. Yeah.
Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
Perfect.
And then TMNT.
And then what about Mutant Mayhem?
Number 4.
You put, interesting. You put Mutant Mayhem below TMNT.
But you haven't seen TMNT.
No, I
So maybe you
haven't.
would
That's why I find it interesting. That's all. Like I haven't seen TMNT. I don't know what kind of movie it is. Now I know that you put it above Mutant Mayhem, and that intrigues me.
I wasn't a big fan of Splinter in Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my Splinter.
Hashtag
I'm not
Splinter.
sure. I'm not sure I liked any of the bad guys in that movie.
Yeah.
Mondo Gecko.
It was fine.
But yeah, TMNT, it's a fun Ninja Turtles cartoon, and I liked it. So it's my number 6.
What's your number 6, Kyle?
My number 6 is Ultra High Frequency from 1989, starring
Sure.
Weird Al. This is a movie where Weird Al is running a TV station, and I think he has to like save the TV station by putting a bunch of stuff on the air. So he just puts whatever, all his crazy ideas go on the air. And this movie it has a connective thread to it, but it really feels like a sketch movie where it's just bit after bit after bit. Most of them are funny. Some of them don't work. Some of them have not aged well since 1989. But I say overall, this movie hits, and it's a good way for Weird Al to channel his weird energy into comedy. And I like this movie, and I think I want to show it to my son. I just don't remember if there's any like 1989 like, oh, that's not age well parts to it or not. I'm sure there are some, but I don't know how offensive they are.
There's probably some, but nothing. I mean, Weird Al was never. He never really sexualized stuff, or like he's violent, but like in a Monty Python style.
Right. And he's not
violence.
super edgy with like, I'm going to say
Right.
something crazy to
There's not going to be any curse words. There might be
Okay.
a little bit of innuendo, but again, Pee Wee Herman was way worse at that than
right.
Weird Al ever was. Yeah. Let's see, Zach. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is The Secret of National Institute of Medical Health.
Oh, nice. Good job, guys. Good job.
Yeah.
Hats off to you.
It's a really good story.
Love it.
Well, my number 5 is Not of Planet Earth. This is a
I don't know. I don't know this movie.
This is a 2022 movie directed by Jordan Peele.
Okay. I didn't know that's what that stood for.
So this is a fan theory. It's not
Oh,
confirmed.
a fan theory. I didn't know this was
Yes.
a list that included fan theories.
Well, we're throwing it in there.
What?
So yes, this is the anyway. This is the movie about ranchers who discover something strange happening around their ranch. Let's put it that way. Really good movie by Jordan Peele. And yes, one of the theories is that obviously it's called Nope because a lot of people say Nope in it and kind of how they react to things. But also a Nope is another term for a UFO, which means not of planet Earth.
Before learning of this fan theory, had you ever heard of a UFO called a Nope?
Nope.
I cannot.
Nobody was doing that.
Can neither confirm. No, that's how clever Jordan Peele is. He can slide a secret acronym into there. He's telling you, okay, aren't you happier that he called it Nope and then didn't give it colon, not a planet Earth? Like, you guys have been dogging on AI and ET about how they had to explain the acronym to you. Here's one where the acronym's right there with no explanation. Right away, you guys are like, oh, what a terrible decision. So I think he's giving you exactly what you've been asking for the entire list.
Nope.
Nope. I don't think so. I don't think that's what it means. I think it's a fan theory, but not official. Nope. Don't think it's official.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump in here. Yeah. I mean, I Google it, and right away, the AI overview says, some say the movie Nope. So obviously, if some say it.
I want to hear the screenwriter or the director say. Or really anybody involved in the movie at all. If you could point to that, I would accept it. But
well, here,
goofballs on the internet.
Entertainment Weekly says right here, Peele has since said that the title wasn't intended to be an abbreviation. But I think he's sticking to the bit on this one. He's not going to cave to the haters. He knows that we know, like, that we're in on this. So
does Entertainment Weekly call it an abbreviation? Like it stands for Nope as much.
Yeah.
But
no, they said
Nope.
So right. Entertainment Weekly doesn't even know what an abbreviation is versus an acronym. So I don't buy that piece of crap journalism. I'm gonna stand by it.
Sure. Why not?
James, your number 5?
My number 5 is from 2012. Of course, I'm talking about Video/Home/System, which is a series of short films combined with a story wrapper, aka an anthology film. These are horror shorts, each one directed by a different director. I believe there's 4 or 5 of them in this movie. This is the first of a series of movies in which they like make these shorts. They allow horror directors to kind of get a little budget, tell a little story instead of having to do a 90-minute story. And so a lot of the shorts are fast paced and have little shocks at the end because you only have 15, 20 minutes or so to get the story out. And especially in this first iteration from 2012, I really love this. Like, there's 5 shorts, I believe, in Video/Home/System. And like a good 3 of them are great, fun watches. And the other 2 are interesting, even if not, completely successful. And yeah, I enjoy this movie quite a bit.
Nice. My
quite a bit
number
refers to a significant amount.
I knew you would do that.
Go ahead,
not a surprise at all. My number 4 is the man from United Network Command for Law and Enforcement.
Okay, I got you.
This came out in 2015 based on the TV show, which I had never watched. I saw this movie with my father-in-law, and I liked it. I think Henry Cavill is a star. He seems like a good guy, and tends to be great in movies. Alicia Vikander's in this one too. It's directed by Guy Ritchie, which can certainly be hit or miss, but it had such a great sense of like the look of it was great. Like, I remember the fashion being really good in it, like it just had a great look to it. And I wish that they had made more of these, honestly. So took place in the 60s. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I just saw the League of
The Ministry of
Ungentlemanly Warfare. Henry Cavill's in it, and he's like unrecognizable in that movie.
Behind like all the facial hair and the large coats he's wearing,
and the fact that he just doesn't look like a massive guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm sure he's very large, but they don't shoot him like he's Superman, and he just kind of looks like a normal actor in the movie. And there's other guys that are way bigger than him. That helps too.
Right, the guy next to Reacher, who's just a big dude overall. So
right, Amazon Reacher.
Right, yeah, not Tom Cruise.
Not Tom Cruise, right?
All right, my number 4 is Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. This is my second Robert Altman film I ever saw. I'm pretty sure Popeye was the first. And I think this movie's pretty great. It's like I mentioned before, it's sort of a dark satire of the Korean War and soldiers as they deal with all the terrible things they see. And if you haven't seen it, I think you should see it, especially if you like dark, humorous movies where people talk over each other all the
time. My number 4 is from 1986. It's the Born, Raised, and Trapped Patrol.
Okay.
Just a great movie. It's kind of a little double meaning because military brats are commonly referred to as like the kids of people who move from one place to another often because they're in the military. And then this group of kids form a kind of a club of misfits, and they acronym the word brat to Born, Raised, and Trapped because, they get dragged around by their parents all over the place. And it's just a fun world of Disney TV movie that happened in the 80s that I watched a ton as a kid because we taped it off TV, and I attached myself to for sure. Doesn't help that like Sean Astin was in Goonies, which was another movie I was obsessive about at the time. And also Sean Astin rode a motorized skateboard in the opening of the Born, Raised, and Trapped Patrol, and he just was maybe the coolest kid I'd ever seen in my life, riding around in the opening credits of that movie. And love the Brat Patrol, and I'm excited it made Zach's list. My number 4.
Well, my number 3 is Waste Allocation Load Lifter Earth Class.
My number 3 is also Waste Allocation Load Lifter Earth Class.
Okay. Great. Can you maybe give people hints what that even is?
Wally.
There you go.
I mean, they don't really need a hint because it's right in the title, but
sure. It's very clear.
I recently showed this to my kids for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah. Because they showed it to her in school. What's that?
Did you pre-watch it or you let it fly?
I mean, I've seen this movie before, James.
Right. But I mean, sometimes you rewatch things just because it's been so long, right? You don't remember whether, or do you let it fly at this point? I don't know.
I mean, there is that scene where Wally is doing some pretty appropriate stuff in the background that you have to make sure the kids.
I'm just saying, I know there's certain things that aren't necessarily dirty that you wouldn't show your kids at this age. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because it might be too intense or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I felt like I remembered this movie well enough that I didn't have to rewatch it to kind of know what the angles were.
Sure.
But also, she watched it in her kindergarten class without her permission. So she had already seen it.
Okay.
But I want to dive into that really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Does your teacher need to ask the parents' permission before showing the movies?
Apparently not.
Wait, did you have the expectation that the teacher would ask the parents before showing a movie?
Not necessarily. If it was like a PG movie, I think I would.
Okay.
Because they're kindergartners.
Yeah.
It was more I just wasn't expecting them to be watching movies in school. In kindergarten.
Don't you remember how school works?
Well, I don't know. I never went to kindergarten, but I just like,
oh, okay.
I don't know. There's got to be learning happening at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. And at some point, it's, you know what? It's Friday and winter break's tomorrow and we're going to watch Wall-E, kids.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
She also watched Rio, which I've never seen. So hopefully Rio is appropriate.
Is that the parrot movie?
Yeah.
Okay. You're probably fine.
I've seen it. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. And she watched the act of killing, which I thought was
that one seems the most appropriate in my mind.
I mean, kids need to learn about genocide early. It's out there. It's a part of our life. If you're not going to learn about it, then when are we going to teach it to them?
Agreed.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, James, what was your number 3?
Yes.
Oh, my number 3 is Children of Deaf Adults from 2021. I loved this movie, this drama. Maybe my favorite film from that year. I think it won Best Picture as well as some acting Academy Awards. And it's a recent movie, but a good one. My number 3, Coda.
I'm really kicking myself for relying on this one list that we sent out. because I thought it was complete. But
Yeah, you didn't do your research?
no, I had a busy weekend. I didn't have time to do a lot of research. So I was like, great, we found a list. I'm going to work off this list and move on. And it's kicking me in the butt right now.
You're fine.
All right, Zach,
okay,
what's your
well,
number 2?
my number 2 is Extraterrestrial, the Extraterrestrial.
That one feels the most silly when
Yeah.
when read that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very silly. I agree.
Yeah. My number 2, and I'm sorry, Zach, it's guanine, adenine, thymine, adenine, cystatine, adenine.
Wait, I couldn't prove that that's what those actually stood for.
Yeah,
It is for 100% what they stood for.
How do you know?
It's fan theory. No.
Yeah, I mean, there's
it's-
nothing in the movie that says that.
No, nothing in the movie that says it, but I'm pretty sure it was
But, like,
it was
clearly,
intentional.
Otherwise, why is it called Gattaca? I mean, those are the 4 parts of
Nucleotides of
DNA.
DNA. Yeah. It's very intentional. Now, Zach,
Right,
you
but
and I
like
did
you
have,
can't do an acronym like that. Acronyms are one letter each, not like sections of words.
No, this
I
is
looked
one
up the
each.
definition of acronym.
Yeah. Right. So, like, when Zach suggested Gattaca as an acronym, I was like, well, how is that an acronym?
Right.
And because, like, obviously it's the first letter of the 4 nucleotides, so it's clever. But I always thought of acronym being like MASH, which stands for a whole word, or WALL-E, which like you could break out. And this one, it's not a gibberish acronym because they are actual words, but it's not informative as in like, oh, this is a shortening of a longer phrase. It's just a
That's
word
an
made
abbreviation.
out of.
Right, but Gattaca isn't GATC. It's GATTACA. It's not.
Right. So it's
not
taking
an
all the
acronym.
different. Yes, it's still an
James.
acronym.
James, I
Each
looked
letter
up
happens to match a letter of whatever, one of the 4
The 4
nucleobases.
nucleotides. Yes. Yeah.
Right. But Gattaca is not an abbreviation for GATC. It's an abbreviation
James, I
for
looked up. Here's the
GATTACA.
definition of acronym. Okay, here's the definition of acronym. Okay, tell me if there's 2 parts to this. Tell me if it applies to the word Gattaca.
Okay.
Formed from the initial letters of other words and pronounced as a word. So it's Gattaca's formed from the initial letter of other words and it's pronounced as a word.
Right, but those words aren't. I don't know what the
A phrase.
G and the
It's not a
A
phrase.
and the
Right.
T and
It's
the
not
C
an
are.
informative. It's not an informative phrase like MASH and WALL-E and other ones, but it's still an acronym.
But okay, I wouldn't have a problem with this.
James,
if-
I've been
if
through
one-
this roller
if there
coaster
was only
already. I've
4,
been here.
But
Yeah.
since T and A are more
Are
than
repeated.
once, you wouldn't
Are
assume that
repeated.
you can reuse that letter.
Why not?
Maybe it's counterintuitive, but that's your assumption. Those letters are standing for just the same thing over again to form it into a word.
Which
But
would
yeah.
make sense if the words needed that, but they don't. Like I wouldn't count it.
Well, think of it like this, James. So DNA is made up of these pieces, right? In different combination.
Mhm.
So the combination that they form to make Gattaca is that particular sequence,
That's
right?
Still not what acronyms are used for.
At first when Zach suggested this, I was on the same path, James. I'm like, I'm not sure this is an acronym. And then we talked about it and I thought about it. And although it's not as informative as our other acronyms or a shortening of a phrase, it is still considered an acronym by the definition of starting of other letter words to make up a single word.
If the title was Gatsy, I would accept it, but it's not. It's Gattaca.
Well, that's why it's not on your list. It's probably not on your list, I'm assuming.
It's not on my list.
Didn't you also post on our public Discord that you were watching that movie as research?
Yeah, then
for
I watched
this?
the whole movie. They never once tell you what Gattaca's about.
Do they ever tell you what WALL-E's? Do they ever explain what WALL-E stands for?
I doubt it.
No, but when I look it up, you can figure it out. With Gattaca,
You can figure it
Nope.
out too, just by looking it up.
you can't
Every
figure it out.
article
You-
about
Tell me what the
Gattaca
second
mentions
T
it.
stands for.
It also stands for thymine.
No,
it's this.
That's not how this works. It's not how
That is
this
exactly
works.
how acronyms
It's not
work.
how it works.
Yes, it can double because DNA famously, James, is made up of just these 4 letters that in different combination make up things.
That's
That's
how
the
many
whole point of DNA.
Right, but it's not like it's limited to 8. They just stopped at 8 because they liked the sound of the word Gattaca.
Yeah, it's clever, and it's 7, by the way.
Not clever, and it's also not an acronym.
Well,
James,
Gattaca,
can you find me a definition online somewhere authoritative that provides a definition of the word acronym that would preclude Gattaca?
Say what?
Can you find me a definition of acronym online or in print materials that would not include the movie title Gattaca? Because every definition I found includes Gattaca. Just your personal definition doesn't.
So you need a definition of.
Also, for the record, I like Kyle and James quite a bit.
Also, for the record, Zach has 30 years of history of explaining Gattaca to people, so this is right in his wheelhouse. He loves this.
I know what Gattaca is. I just watched it. I know what the supposed acronyms are related to this. But when you typically take a word and then give each letter in that word or phrase a value, you don't reuse the same single words for no reason whatsoever. Right? Like, give me an example of anything else, any other acronym that people could point to as like commonly used. And they're like doubles of the same word in it, right next to each other for no reason whatsoever. It's not how acronyms work.
Well, you said the word typically. I'll give you that.
That's not how acronyms work.
Did you guys know that the Law USA Patriot Act is an acronym?
You mean the word patriot?
No, and the USA part. It's not United States of
really?
America. Yeah.
I did
It's
not know
the
that.
really?
uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism act. 2001.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Someone got
That's
paid,
why acronyms exist.
someone
James,
got
what
paid
about-
a lot of money to come up
What
with
about
that, though.
an ATM machine or a PIN number?
Right? What about them?
A PIN number is a private identification number.
Or personal. Sure.
Yeah, personal. Yeah. And an ATM is an automatic, something machine.
Automatic teller machine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Well,
about
okay, so those just redundancies. People are misusing the term ATM machine or PIN number. But it's to clarify what it is. It's an ATM. Oh, it's a machine. It's a PIN.
Oh, I understand what
Again,
you're saying.
yeah.
Should
I
the
challenge-
last letter be there?
I again
Sure.
challenge James to find a definition of acronym that precludes Gattaca.
James, can you tell us also what your number 2 is?
Have I not said that?
I didn't even
We're
talk
stuck.
about my number 2, but it's Gattaca, and it's a great movie. And
Okay.
if you have questions, ask Zach about it.
My number 2 is the aforementioned waste allocation load lifter Earth class, which is a fun movie for sure.
Nice.
My number 1 is I didn't look up the
Guanine,
nucleotides.
adenine, thymine, thymine, adenine,
Adenine.
cydenine, and adenine.
Adenine.
Yeah.
Love that movie. So good.
And why? My number 1 is the aforementioned extraterrestrial, the extraterrestrial. And I love this movie. Every time I watch it, I have all the feels, and it is wonderful, and I cannot wait to watch it again.
Nice.
What was that pick? I was not listening whatsoever.
We're on your number 1 now, James.
what did you just pick?
E.T.
Terrestrial, the extraterrestrial.
Gotcha. You mean extraterrestrial, the extraterrestrial.
No, it's terrestrial.
Oh, I see.
Period.
I see what you're
Yes.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're on my number 1.
Yes, we're doing your number 1 now.
It's 1989's Ultra High Frequency.
Nice.
Love that movie. We talked about it a little bit with old Weird Al, his one and only movie that he starred in and wrote.
Starred. Okay. Well, did he write Weird, the Al Yankovic story?
I think he's a writer on it.
Okay.
But I don't know if he wrote it himself.
But yeah, he's definitely not the star of that movie.
Right. And he didn't direct Weird, right?
No.
Somebody else. Yeah. Yeah. So, love Ultra High Frequency. Is that it for the list? I was trying to.
Yes, you went last with your number one.
Trying to research Acronym.
It's not that hard. Just
there's so many different versions of Acronym. There's a nested
type in
acronym,
dictionary.
a tautology
just go to a dictionary.
Acronym.
Well, do any of those acronyms preclude Gattaca?
There's the difference between an acronym and an initialism.
Right.
So could we maybe say that Gattaca is more initialism than an acronym, like as in JFK's initialism?
No, it's an acronym.
No, but I'm saying, is initialism a subsect of acronym?
I don't know. I would have to look it up. James obviously is, but because he hasn't said look, I found it. Apparently, everything he's reading includes Gattaca.
It doesn't include it, and it doesn't not include it.
Well,
Zach's talking about
has to
something
do one
that's
of those
not
things.
an acronym at all, and that's why it can't be eliminated because nobody thought they'd ever consider that an acronym.
James, what is the definition of acronym that you found? Give me the definition of acronym.
I mean, all I did was
research.
Search acronym, and then I searched acronym using the same word within it.
Wait, so you didn't go to a dictionary?
Which isn't even a good
to find a
search.
definition?
No, I found one. An abbreviation formed from the initial letters of other words and pronounced as a word.
Doesn't that include Gattaca?
No.
James, come on. You have to be honest here. You can't just say
it does,
no.
It does, but you're repeating words and they're not in a sequence that describes something else or is the name of something else or is even a sentence. It's just the listing of words as related to letters.
But those are things that are not included in the definition of acronym.
It's
you're
what
adding
I
elements.
think about when I think of acronyms.
That's true. I agree with that.
Well, I'm just going to say I'm on acronymfinder.com and they have, what does Gattaca stand for? And it says Gattaca stands for guanine, adenine, thymine, adenine, cystatine, adenine. So if acronymfinder.com concludes it.
It's fine. I'm not saying it's definitively by English rules an acronym or not. I'm saying I don't consider it an acronym.
I think it definitively is an acronym.
I'm not saying if that's the case or not. I'm not here to challenge that. I'm here to make the statement that I don't believe it's an acronym because they're just repeating elements or whatever they're called, hyper whatevers. In order to make a word. It could have been any word based on what you're saying. Because Gattaca is not really even a word. It's a word they made up because they thought it sounded cool.
Wall-E's not a word.
I know. I understand
UHF
that.
is not a word.
But each individual letter of Wall-E actually stands for something unique to that letter. Whereas with Gattaca, not true. They repeat.
Well,
it's a little bit of a cheat.
Yeah. There is a whole Quora section on Gattaca. So I think Zach should jump in there and start answering those questions.
Where people are arguing over whether it's an acronym or not?
No, just what's the movie about? What's the point of the movie?
The only people dumb enough to argue about this is us. Even people on Quora of all sites where they will literally argue about every single little thing.
Right. Yeah.
All right. We were ready to wrap this up.
I think we can wrap this up. Zach, should we wrap this up? Zach is nodding his head. We should wrap this up.
Zach's nodding his head. Yep. He's totally ready to wrap this up. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening to this episode 635 of the Cinereelists podcast. We appreciate your listenership. Don't forget, there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go check it out there. Search Cinereelists, find us, and subscribe. Watch while you listen. You could also support us on Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. Leave us an Apple Podcast review. We'd appreciate that as well. 5 stars only. Or send us an email, heyguys@cinereelists.com. That email address is in the description of this episode. You could also follow us on social media at Cinereelists on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok at Cinereelists, or you can follow me on my personal Twitter, Letterboxd, or Blue Sky account at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Chauvin.
You can find me on Letterboxd at Peter SKB.
Next week, we will be reviewing Hitman, which is a new Netflix movie directed by Richard Linklater. Zach, I'm curious to know how far you are from like a full filmography with Richard Linklater. You like really
that's
far?
a good question.
I think you might actually be pretty close.
I might be. I've seen a lot of Linklater.
Yeah. At one point, I had seen all of them, but I don't think I've seen the animated one that Kyle loved from like a year or so ago about the space program.
Oh, Apollo 10.5.
Yeah, Apollo 10.
Yeah, that's good. I
haven't seen that yet, but I think maybe I'm up to speed other than that one.
But, I need to see Slacker. Never seen Slacker.
Oh yeah, Slacker's it's a 90s movie.
It looks
for sure
in my lane. Yeah.
It's super interesting. Every 5 minutes he changes location in that movie. So it's like very fast moving. It's an energy filled movie for sure. That was made for nothing. It's like him and his friends filming things.
Right.
Pretty wild. So yeah, be ready for Hitman, Richard Linklater's first toe into the action genre. So look forward to that. We'll see you guys there. Until next week, keep it Cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
All right, Kyle, this is your chance to tell us your spoiler phrase. Hit us with it.
If is the sixth sense for imaginary friends.